Thanks for tuning in to the Diaphragm Dynasty. I'm back with another Behind the Pen edition of my podcast. And behind the pen today, I will have Schaefer Smith, who you might know as Neo. Now, Neo is one of my favorite songwriters of all time. I always tell you, Babyface is my favorite songwriter of all time for what he did for the 90s and for what he's doing for music still today. But Neo is one of those artists that came out around '04, '05. He started making his name, and he started off mostly behind the scenes writing for, different people. And I'll get into that in a little bit, but he's not probably the most active. He doesn't have the most active pen right now. That will probably be somebody like The Dream or somewhere around that range. Of course, the Babyface is always active, but um, he's not just one of my favorite songwriters of all time just because he can make hits, but it's the artistry of it all, the meticulous attention to detail that he has, the ability and perspective to write from a different perspective. So Neo's greatest gift as a songwriter is the ability to write from a woman's perspective. Now, to see it differently, because a lot of times we have a selfish mindset and we see things from the way we see it. It's always that gender war, gender clash. But Neo is actually to look inside the mindset of a woman and convey what she's thinking in a relationship from the outside, looking in. And that's his biggest gift. And as a songwriter, that's an amazing gift or a cheat code, so to speak, because everybody doesn't have that ability. Now, if you could be a superhero, that would be his strength as a superhero. He would be able to read minds and do things like that. But he talked about in an interview before, I think they asked him what is his inspiration for writing music, especially from the perspective that he's writing. But he said he talks to women all the time and hear their complaints and hear what they need. And he's able to convey that and tell their story through a song. So not only is he able to read minds, but he's a good listener and can tell a story. And a good thing of, a strong ability that you need as a songwriter is to be able to story tell, to tell a story efficiently and descriptively so the listener can know what you're trying to get across. And he definitely does that. So when you take a song like that he wrote for Beyonce, like Irreplaceable, considered one of the best Beyonce songs of all time, or you take a Rihanna's Take a Bow or Unfaithful with Rihanna, some of her best work. Now, the Unfaithful song is a song that people don't talk about enough, and it's very piano heavy, but it's a very good song with very good writing, and it tells a great story from a woman's perspective, a unique perspective of a woman being unfaithful. So, Neil gave us that different perspective that most songwriters don't get, especially from a man, being a man that's writing these stories. But songs that he wrote for Rihanna and Beyonce defined an era, kind of solidified him as a writer because we know he wrote for people earlier and these songs were great songs, but people didn't pay attention to the songwriter as much because they weren't huge pop stars or huge celebrities like Rihanna or Beyonce were. So um he gave us the great songs that explains these ebbs and flows from these artists as well, but other artists. So when you think about this man's catalog, his songwriting, it's incredible. And I'll get into those now. So, one of the biggest songs that he first came out with was Mario Let Me Love You. Now, this song doesn't get enough recognition in the pop world because it's very traditional R&B. But, as a lover of music and singing, it can cross over to any genre, I want to say, because I don't know. It came out in the time like '05, '04, '05, but I believe if that song came out to now today, it would have been a bigger hit than it was back then. Maybe not album wise, but single wise, I believe it would have been because, you know, R&B is more accepted now than it was back towards then, at least for the crossover. Um, but this was around the time that Usher was out too, so it got lost in that Usher Confessions era. So, but it still, nevertheless, was a great song that made very good success. Marcus Houston's "That Girl." It's in that same realm of "Let Me Love You Even Less," but because Marcus Houston was the star. He had about a couple years where he actually was in his peak, and he kind of fell back out of it. But this song was another great message that Usher conveyed, that ebbs and flows of being in a relationship. But Rihanna's Unfaithful, and Right Now is songs that he wrote for her. And I talked about those. Well, at least the Unfaithful part. Carrie Hilson's to Knock You Down, which um, she had that perceived beef with Beyonce, and she kind of like, fell off the scene after that. But that was a huge record for her that, you know, helped jumpstart her career. Plaza's Busted Baby, and I'm talking about the chorus. That was a huge hit back when it came out, and I want to say '07, '08. But that was a huge record for his career and for his album at the time. Jennifer Hudson's Spotlight, which is probably one of my favorite songs that he wrote. And he wrote it from um, pretty much a woman's perspective, that, like I talked about, that unique gift that he has. And this was a huge record for Jennifer Hudson's career as well. And she became a big star, and then she started doing movies and all these different things. So it helped jumpstart her, not just her singing career, but her overall career as a celebrity as well. But Neo is that genius of a writer, and not just writing. And I'm just talking about the songs that he wrote for other people, but you got to think about the songs he wrote for himself. The so sick of love songs that he first jumped on the scene with as a solo artist. That whole project that he came out with, um, his first album, I think it was On My Own. I have to see the name of that one. Yeah, in my own words, his first album, which was a huge album that showcased him in a different light as not just a writer. So he came from behind the pen and behind the board, soundboard, and came to the form and moved to the forefront. But he had a lot of great songs, Mirror, um, Time. It was so many different songs on that album that just, just we didn't know what we were going through. This was back in '06, I believe, when I was like around a senior in high school. But and then he released more songs after that. One of his favorite songs that he wrote for himself is called Do You, when he's saying, he's talking about, breaking up with this girl and if she still thinks about him. But it's an excellent song if you haven't heard it, so definitely check it out. But he's made great music. Even as of late, the "Don't Love Me" song he had, which has an amazing video as well. Which I know people don't still watch videos, but I happen to see that one. It had a lot of views and stuff. But um, definitely check out that one as well. Um, yeah, just a great contributor to the music world, and definitely a great contributor to everything in R&B and the pop world. So if you haven't checked out Neil, which is pretty much impossible, you have to hear one of his songs that he's written before or performed. But if you haven't heard it, definitely check it out. And until next time, I'll see you next time.